Open with green plastic news, narrated by a combat reporter who appears on camera. Months after the events of the prisoner operation, we get a montage of insane green on tan fighting around the Felgrau Mountains. Captain Macabre's Trojan company in the thick of it. Soldiers firing wildly. Insane tank battles. Devastating hits from the dreaded tan Lucifer gun. And the new green ballistic missile Argyle. This, however, is not a typical gung-ho propaganda reel. The footage highlights how destructive the fighting in Myrtle sector has been. Nearly all bridges that cross a vital river, separating the green and tan territories, has been destroyed. It has been so bad that both field marshals, Tannenberg and Falto, ordered a temporary ceasefire in Myrtle sector. The newsreel then goes into how the captured Major Windsor has been divulging information to the Greens and how it has benefited them. We suddenly hear heckling, and we jump out of the newsreel to annoyed Green soldiers sitting in a projection room, watching the newsreel, commenting on how boring it is, and making cracks at the featured reporter. They continue watching the report and mention that, despite the ceasefire, the Tans are incredibly screwed, without their precious Major Windsor. Outside the projection room, in the dead of night, a Green sentry suddenly has his throat cut by a sneaky Tan. The Tan quietly gives a signal, and a whole Tan squad stealthily sneaks past, carrying Major Windsor. After finding out, Macabre takes a squad to find and recapture him in hopes General Dartmouth doesn't find out. Windsor and his rescuers, after linking up with Tuscan, head for the last major bridge in Myrtle sector that separates the Green and Tan territories. But Macabre finds them and orders for them to surrender. The Tans refuse, and against the ceasefire order from both sides, a firefight ensues. From there, it just keeps escalating while more men and firepower get brought into the fight. It eventually turns into a tug of war with who is going to claim this bridge, until they are eventually using ballistic missiles and railguns, weapons that should definitely not be used when trying to protect an important bridge. The bridge has a massive barricade in the middle, blocking any vehicles crossing from either side. The bridge has towers at various points, similar to the Ludendorff Bridge. As this tug-of-war battle for the bridge continues, there are Green vehicles on one side and Tan vehicles on the other. As this battle rages on, Macabre is just focused on finding Windsor and killing him, completely ignoring the large-scale carnage happening around him. Macabre and Windsor eventually face off on a platform that runs underneath the bridge. They are all alone, and Windsor overpowers Macabre. Windsor then takes a flamethrower and melts Macabre's legs to the steel floor of the platform. Now with Macabre stuck, Windsor drops his weapons and slumps to the floor next to Macabre. He is done fighting. Above them, all the vehicles, both Green and Tan, start crossing the bridge toward the center barricade. At this point, Macabre points out that once the barricade is blown, the two ravenous forces will collide, and the bridge, already damaged, won't be able to withstand the carnage. Windsor says he knows, and the plan is for he and Macabre to go down with them. Macabre makes some pleas, telling him that either of them could stop their own forces before reaching the barricade. Windsor doesn't care. He has accepted his fate. Macabre makes more pleas, asking, "You call this winning?" And Windsor replies, "Win, lose, who gives a shit? We all go the same in the end." Macabre replies, "Ah, fuck you. You're no hero. You're just a has-been on a death trip. You'll never live up to what you once were." And that's when Windsor replies, "You're right. You're absolutely right. And that's why you and I are alike." Eventually, the barricade is blown, and just as Macabre and Windsor said, the Green and Tan forces collide head-on in a fierce fight with guns and explosions going off everywhere. Eventually, the bridge splits in the center and crumbles to pieces at the bottom of the ravine. The final survivor is the reporter for Green Plastic News, as he stands on the edge of the cliff, marveling at the wreckage down below, speechless as to what he has witnessed and what it was all for. He stares down at the death and wreckage down below. The reporter is in shock as he describes what just happened the best he can in front of the camera. For a reporter who would jabber on and on while on camera, he is speechless. He apologizes for being speechless, and then starts walking away from the cliff, while giving his name from Green Plastic News. Cut to black. Credits.